Welcome to Becoming Limitless. This is the podcast for entrepreneurs who want to optimize their brain and their body with biohacking. I'm going to teach you how to eliminate brain fog and upgrade your health so you can have more productivity, energy, and growth in your business. I'm your host, Tanessa Shears. Let's jump in. Welcome back to the Becoming Limitless podcast. So I've got to ask, have you ever wondered how the heck some people generate like really consistent high energy days? Because that is what I'm going to be talking to you about on today's episode of the Becoming Limitless podcast. And I'm doing something I never do. I am dropping one of my most popular closed to the public masterclasses on the podcast. This is something that I hosted in August, and it was an hour-long masterclass that was jam-packed with some seriously good tips that I don't share anywhere else. Like, I had some really good feedback on this episode, and that's why I'm excited to share. I had people saying, like, I really enjoyed your masterclass. There was a lot of information that I could use. You made me laugh because I've tried so many of those morning routines and planning systems. And I often joke about like that we think that those are what are going to solve a lot of our productivity issues, but it's not. It really comes down to your energy. You know, this was a very interesting masterclasses and people had a ton of takeaways. So I really wanted to share it with you on the podcast today. So you can take this episode with you on a walk, or because it's a bit longer than our usual episode, you can break it up into a couple of short rides in the car because you're going to want to listen in, because here's what you're going to learn. You're going to learn what the difference is between high energy mornings and, you know, those mornings that just drag on. And hint, hint, it is not a morning routine. You're going to learn why your energy crashes mid-afternoon and what you can do to stop energy drains and stay focused right now. And lastly, you're going to learn my secret to feeling energized consistently during the day without that, you know, that dip that comes around 2 to 3 p.m. Yeah, you're going to learn my secret for it. Like I said, this is a jam-packed episode with a ton of aha moments woven in, and I can't wait for you to check it out. So we're going to jump in. Let's go. Hey, welcome to the Raise Your Energy Masterclass. I am so excited to be here. This masterclass today is going to be a jam-packed workshop. I am talking about the how of consistent high energy days. I'm talking about those days where you are just waking up, you're full of energy, you're ready to tackle the day, you're super productive. I am so excited to be delivering this masterclass to you today. If you have been on any of my live trainings or masterclasses before, I like to keep them super action oriented. I like to keep them to the point with some stories to make it fun. And I also really like to make it kind of just like what actually has worked for me and my clients without all of the fluff. So if you have been on one of my masterclasses before, welcome back. If you are new, I'm excited to have you here. So one of the things that I really love in any type of live training like this is our ability to interact with each other. Meaning, if you've got questions, you pop them in the question box. If you are here on the replay later on, let me know you're here on the replay and say hi. If you're just dropping in now, I'd love to meet you. So one of my favorite things about more of these like intimate style trainings like this is that I actually get to put a face to a name, or at least I get to have conversations with you inside of this group and this training. And my goal is for you to be able to walk away with something that you're like, that is something I'm going to start doing today or tomorrow morning, and it's going to have an impact on the way you feel about yourself and about your energy and the way you're showing up to your life. Because there's a good chance if you signed up for this training today that you might be struggling with a couple things. You might be struggling with, waking up feeling just groggy in the morning. Or maybe you feel like your energy drags all day long and it's just really affecting your ability to get stuff done. Or maybe you're one of those people that are getting that slump around 2 or 3 o'clock and you're just like, my brain goes offline. That is it. I am done for the day. Or maybe you're one of those people that your energy is on during your workday. But by the time you get to the end of your workday and you're like, okay, that's it. Computer closed, we're done for the day, time to spend time with family, your brain is literally like melted into a puddle, or you're so exhausted that you're just on the couch and you're just like, all I can do is watch Netflix right now, even though maybe you'd rather be going out for a walk with your kids or taking your dog for a walk or reading a book. But we often find that we're losing so much time to scrolling or unintentional TV or any of those things that are just not lighting you up and not creating kind of that life that you want. So I'm just gonna flip on my light here. There we go. Now I can see. Okay. So basically, if we've met before, hello again. If we haven't met before, my name is Tanessa Shears. I'm a health consultant. Specifically, I work with entrepreneurs. So if you've seen any of my posts or listened to my podcast, you know that my big thing is helping optimize your brain and your body with science and biohacking. So if you've never heard the word biohacking before, it's just a really cool way of taking measurable action and optimizing the environment inside of us and outside of us so that we can be more productive, more energetic, have more well-being, feel more vibrant, and feel more healthy. I mean, that's what we all want to feel, right? It's one of those. Maybe yours is more energy. Maybe you want to feel more awake or just excited to be showing up to your day, right? So these are all things that I'm going to be kind of encompassing and bringing into today. But if you are at all like, my energy needs a boost, then you are in the right place. So welcome. Like I said, I'm glad to have you here. So I've got my notes and all the things nearby, so I'll be glancing at them to make sure I don't miss anything important because I have planned everything out that I'm going to say. So one of the most important things that I always like to drive home at the beginning of these trainings is that if we ever feel that we are losing productivity during our day, meaning like we're not getting through all the things we want to get through, everything, we seem to be procrastinating, taking longer to do stuff, we often like to think it's because we don't have this scheduling system perfectly in place yet, or we didn't find the right calendar, or we didn't find the right app, or the to-do list, or it must be something to do with, the way I'm organizing my day. And while that may be partly true, after working with like so many clients on this exact type of thing, here's what I found. Your productivity is more closely tied to your energy than anything else. I mean, think about the last time you woke up and you were super tired and you had a bad sleep, or maybe it was just a short sleep, and you just kind of feel that heavy brain fog feeling, that feeling where your head feels thick, your ideas aren't flowing, your thinking feels clunky and cloudy, and it's just not flowing the way you want it to, and it just doesn't feel very good. Well, that is brain fog, and that in any type of capacity, whether it be your life or your business, is going to slow down your productivity. I mean, we've all showed up to days feeling tired before, and we know that we procrastinate on the things that feel too hard, or we put them off, or we just, end up just shutting our computer down in the middle of the day and are like, nah, that's it, I'm done. And it's about that idea of getting less done, and you might even find that you're taking more unplanned breaks. So, when you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to work this afternoon on this project, and then it gets to that time, and you're just like, I think I could fit this in tomorrow. I'm just going to take a break. We often find that we're doing that too much, and it might be, maybe it's not in your business, but maybe it's with, you got stuff piling up around the house. Maybe the kitchen's looking messy and it's something you really, honor is to have a clean kitchen. I know for me that really helps my anxiety, is having a nice clean kitchen. So I know for a lot of us it shows up as, getting distracted easily when we're not having high energy. So every time our phone pings, we're like, oh, I should check that out. Or you have all your browser tabs open and you really have on like an Amazon, a Facebook, an Instagram, a WhatsApp, and you're kind of just cycling in your email and you're going through them all one at a time. You're like, yep, click, 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 click. And you're just like, I'm not getting anything done. And you procrastinate. And I think the worst part about this lack of energy is that because we don't get through what we want to get through during the day, what ends up happening is we close our computer, but our brains don't turn off. Meaning we're still like, oh yeah, I've got to email that person back. Oh, I should just make a note of that really quick. Yeah, and then this has got to happen, and don't forget about this. And our brains don't turn off. So what we end up doing is we sit down to dinner with our family, or we are sitting, watching TV at night trying to have some time off, and we've got our phone in our hand. I mean, is that not something that's fascinating that I find about myself if I'm not aware of it? Why do we feel the need to be also watching TV while on our phones? We don't really get what's going on in the TV. We're just really wasting time, and our energy just feels like it's going down this sinkhole. And so what ends up happening is our business becomes a cage because we never, ever escape it. You are always thinking about it. We can't turn our brain off, and we feel guilty that we're not feeling present. And so many of us, especially the clients that I work with, I always ask them, what do you want your business and your life to feel like, right? And I usually get some combo of this. I want to feel more energized. I want to feel present. That's a huge one I get. So when they are outside of work, they want to feel like they are with their families, that they are with their friends, or that they are actually focused on reading a book without also having their phone open and checking they're missing out on that feeling of calm. For me, peace. When I am not working on my business, I want to feel at peace, present, connected. These are things that come up over and over again, and if you are drained of your energy, you are going to find that staying present and all of those feelings of connected, calm, peace, those feelings that we want are very hard to connect with. So, what I want to teach you today is how I proactively raise my energy up every single day so that I can have a very productive day, so that when my day is done, I close down my computer and I get to be present in my life. I get to feel joy and I get to feel peace, and all of that comes from having very high energy. So before we jump into the content, one thing that, because I'm always about being real, I want to point out the perfection trap. So because we are on this training wanting to feel more energy or just feel better about some aspect of our lives or some time of day where we notice it dropping off, we get into this habit of thinking that it needs to be perfect every day in order for it to work. Meaning, every day I'm going to wake up feeling like sunshine. That's what we set as our expectation. So inevitably, life happens and we get disappointed. And then what happens is we think something has gone wrong, we've done something wrong, and we end up thinking, oh, see, this doesn't work. I'm supposed to be feeling great all the time. So we end up quitting, or we end up skipping a couple days of taking care of ourselves, and then we end up in this slump and we just cannot get out of it, and no matter what we do, we just don't feel good anymore. So I want you to notice that perfection trap where your brain has decided that the expectation is, because I'm taking an energy workshop every single day, I should feel great. What I want to teach you today is how to generate that if you want to, or if you are in a space to, and how to hold it consistently even when you have days that you don't feel that great. So 2 Fridays ago, I woke up with a migraine. Now, I don't know if you've ever had a migraine, but that is not a day where I was like, yes, I'm going to have a productive day. That was a day I was like, I hear you, body. We're going to have a day. So my husband stayed home from work that day, and I laid in bed till noon, and I read my book, and I just had some time off. And we might not have the luxury of enjoying, a whole day where somebody can stay home and take care of our kids or, take care of our work. However, the point being is I really want you to be aware of when you are in a space of expecting that it's going to be great every day, and allowing that compassion for yourself if there are days that you're just like, I just need a day. But this is the how of having a life that feels high energy, instead of just thinking of every microsecond has to feel so good. So I want to be real about that. Okay, number one, here's what we're going to jump into today. So number one, the thing that we're going to talk about, and I don't know if you saw my Instagram stories, but there are 5 concepts I'm going to be teaching you today, and they all go in order, which means ideally mastering one at a time and helping you hold and build high energy days. All right, number one, we're going to talk about self-concept. So by being here already, there is a part of you that wants something more impactful, that wants an energy that feels better. So it is that decision that you want to raise your energy and you want to feel better. Now, I know that this sounds like, well, yeah, of course I want more energy. Who doesn't? But having worked with a lot of people, sometimes we've just decided that this is how life is. Isn't everybody tired when they wake up? Don't we all get tired at 2 p.m.? And we never really question that, and whether that is normal or normal for us. So part of it comes from making that decision to raise your energy, and that I am going to be a person that puts time or puts thought or puts effort into creating that high vibe feeling that you want every day. Because I could tell you, back before I started doing this consistently, I used to just wake up and kind of roll with the day. Meaning like, yeah, if I felt energetic, good. If I'm not, But when I decided that, you know what, I'm going to figure out a way to become energized, even sometimes on the days where they don't feel like they're off to the best start, how can I kickstart myself? That was when I felt like my life started feeling energetic and my downtime started feeling peaceful. So it's making that decision. And I always like to think of it as setting the standard for your life and what you want it to feel like. What is the standard for the energy you're going to have each and every day? Meaning, do I want my mornings to feel more energized? Do I want to work on that afternoon energy slump? Like, what is the standard? what am I going to be doing in those moments when I don't feel so great? I'm going to be giving you some tricks for that today to definitely help with that. But part of it is like learning how to calibrate your own energy. So if you think about the process of calibrating, it's like fine tuning. Like if you were to get an old radio and be tuning directly into the station you want, you have to figure out what that energy feels like that you want to connect with. Because if you're just like, yeah, energy, what does that feel like? Like I know for me, when I have high energy, like what I do right now, I kind of have a little bit of a tickle in my stomach, and I know I just feel pleasant, and I feel positive, and I feel like I want to share, and I feel like I want to create more of this feeling, so I go do more of the things that do that. So I know what this feeling feels like, so I calibrate to this. And I often find that we calibrate to not only ourselves but other people around us. And one of the best examples I always love to give is like, when you're in line at the grocery store and perhaps the cashier is new, or maybe she's going a little slower. Have you ever had the person behind her in front of you turn around and go, like trying to connect with you on how miserable it is that you have to wait an extra 2 minutes in line? Like, how inconvenient is this, right? What they're wanting to do is just calibrate to the energy of the people around, right? And often humans bond most over negativity. Like that's a really good example of it, is we want to look and just be like, aren't you experiencing the same displeasure that I am right now? Like I always think it's funny that nobody turns around when the cashier is like, just on her game, she's doing her thing, she's moving quick. Yep, thank you, next customer. Nobody turns around and goes, this girl's amazing. Or this guy's amazing. They're so fast. They're having so much, they're so good at their job. We don't do that. So I often find that if we leave calibrating our energy just up to chance, we'll often calibrate to the negative energy of other people and other input around us. So think about the news is a really good one. If you start your day or spend time watching the news every single day, your energy will calibrate to that of fear and negativity and sensationalism, right? So I have decided that I calibrate to my standard of high energy and what that feels like for me, and I'm very cautious of what types of input. So that's very much how I've created my self-concept around that. And like I said, I'm questioning everything. Always. Like, does this feel good? Is this how I want to feel today? How do I want to feel today? And really developing that practice of going through those thoughts in our head. Because one of the most fascinating things I think I've ever learned is that your thoughts create the way you feel. And we are more in control of the thoughts that go on in our head than we think of. And it's great. I had a conversation literally yesterday with a client, and it was like, no, I don't really have those thoughts. And it was interesting after, I've been working with her for 5 months now, and I was like, well, of course, that's because you keep yourself busy with Instagram scrolling or TV or work or something else. But if you've ever actually just sat down and did nothing, not with your phone, no music on, no podcasts on, and you just sat, you will notice that your brain is always thinking. We just drown it out with other activities all day long. So once I realized, oh my gosh, look at that, I'm having conversations in my head with myself all the time. When you hear that, you might be like, ooh, that doesn't sound very fun. That doesn't sound very nice. I don't want to keep thinking like that. And it's almost that you go through this place of awareness when you realize that unintentionally or maybe intentionally, you've been kind of creating this low energy state in your life or your business. Meaning you're thinking like, another day. Do I have to do this again? I don't really want to do this. I'm so tired. And it's the condition of those thoughts that go on in the background all the time that are creating a lot of what you are feeling. And when you can recognize that, oh, listen to that, huh? And then we recognize that we don't always have to think that way. I get to start deciding how I want to feel. And one of those ways was really high energy, because I get a lot of stuff done. Like, I don't know how much of my world that you've been a part of, but since I've really gotten into biohacking my sleep and biohacking, my nutrition and my movement, and kind of became, like, took my brain, my superpower is kind of taking brains and making them very high energy, right? Since I have done that, I doubled the revenue in my coaching practice, which was so fun. I'm also raising a daughter who's now 18 months old. I wrote a book, and I launched a podcast all within like the 6 months after I started getting that done, because I just had more time, because my energy was up and I wanted to show up in a different way. So all things that I want you to consider. And then beyond that, one of the questions when you're looking at your self-concept, and we're still on this first principle here of self-concept, is I want you to ask yourself this. When you're looking at yourself as the CEO of your business or of your life, and you think 5 years out, when you have the growth that you want 5 years out, how do you think life is going to be then? Like, what do you want to see? Because when I work with clients on this, here's what they'll tell me. Oh, it'll be different then because laundry list of things. I will have an assistant, I'll have more time, I'll have more money, I'll have more, all of this kind of stuff like this. So we just think that if we keep going and hustling and everything now, it'll finally feel good then, and I just don't have to feel like this anymore. But here is something I love to teach. The brain and the thoughts and the way you live your life now will show up 5 years from now at that milestone, or when you hit a 5-figure month or a 6-figure year or a 7-figure year in your business. If you take your same brain with you, you will feel the same. Even if your circumstances are different and you have more money and you have people helping you out. Maybe you have someone cleaning your kitchen so it's tidy all the time. I don't know. So my big learning out of this was that, why would I choose to put off feeling high energy and peace until then? I'm doing it now. And I'm going to tell you, since doing that, life has become so fun. And it's about play. And that's that kind of concept. I released actually a podcast on it yesterday. And it's all about playing with biohacking. And specifically the concept is like, if we are playing and having just joy and fun in our lives now, and we play just to play, we often end up creating the result, and it's so much fun in the meantime, because when we're always watching the score, whether that be how many clients we have, how many products we've sold, how much money we have, when we're constantly watching the score to determine how we're feeling in our life, you might get there, but it doesn't feel good. The point is, I have worked with enough people to tell you that you can feel the way you think you're going to feel in 5 years now and still create those results. So my question to you is, why would you wait? And we're looking at how you can play. And I love the concept of playing in business. Like, how can I do what I'm doing right now, and how can it be fun? How can I bring fun to it? And that's part of that intentional questioning. All right, so that was self-concept. So that's number one, is you pretty much have to have a set of standards to calibrate to that you want for your life, and then you need to decide that that is your standard now. And now we're going to go into how to create that. So concept number two is we need to work on creating a space for you to calibrate in. So it's all great if we decided we want to be high energy, but then comes the implementation part, and that's where most people are like, I don't really have time in the morning. It takes so long to do, but I'm going to have you question how long it's really going to take you to implement and how long you want it to take. Because at the beginning, I was trying a whole bunch of different ways to calibrate my energy. Is it a morning routine? Is it at night? Is it in the middle of my day? And it took a little longer, but with practice, you can shrink the amount of time or collapse the amount of time it actually takes you to create high energy. So I find right about now, if I wake up in a weird, funky morning, I usually find I can be 5 minutes and I can be high energy. So we need to first create that space. And I often find when you're first starting out at this, taking 5 minutes when you wake up is the best place to do it, because you haven't had outside influences of family, news, business, maybe you checked your email, whatever's going on, you haven't had that yet. So I do create that 5 minutes in the morning, and if I have more time, sometimes I do. But one thing that I really want to point out is that I find that there is a lot of people pushing the idea that you have to be part of the 5 a.m. club or have this beautiful morning routine where you get to stretch and have water and write in your journal, and you listen to a podcast and you went for a me time walk. I have an 18-month-old baby right now, which means my work time is when she sleeps. So she wakes up at 8:30, I wake up at 5:30. I have that much time to get my work done. So I don't have a drawn out morning routine. You know what I have? I have 5 minutes. And I ask myself, what do I want to create for today? How do I want to feel? And I make sure that's a non-negotiable 5 minutes in the morning. So I really just want to emphasize the point that if you're just like, I don't have time for a morning routine, you don't have to. I know many successful coaches and I know many successful consultants. I actually have clients making high six-figure years, like 800, 900,000, $1 million years. And they go straight into their business. Now, they also don't feel the way they want to feel. So we're going to start kind of piecing together how to do that. So I often will make a list, and this is something that I want you to consider, of what are my non-negotiables that create energy for me. So for me, I know that if I want to be intentional about having a high energy morning, if I only have 5 minutes, I want to ask myself, number one, really good questions. That's number one. If I only have 5 minutes, what can I get excited about today? How do I want to feel today? What will I have to think? What can I do today to help me boost my energy? Now, there are definitely mornings where I have more time, or maybe even I get into work and then I have some time after. But ones that I really love is moving my body. Now, it does not have to be an hour workout. I find that is something that as a culture we are really stuck in, is the idea of having hour-long workouts. No. I work out for maybe 20 to 30 minutes. Maybe. And not even every day, because that's just not what my schedule allows for. But it is something in my week that is a non-negotiable. Not because I'm like, oh yeah, it's going to make my waist smaller. It's going to make my brain smarter, all of which it might do. But I know for a fact that it helps my brain feel high energy. So that is something I don't negotiate on. Number two is something I don't negotiate on is having breakfast. Now, the time of that does change every day, and it also changes depending on where I am in my cycle. However, I like to have something that is generally high protein and high healthy fats, maybe sometimes with some carbs. I love eggs and avocados and oatmeals and berries and flax seeds and chia seeds and all of those good things. That is something I don't negotiate on. The other thing I really never ever negotiate on, unless it is pitch black out, is I get outside in the morning and expose my eyes to natural light. I think this is if you walk away with one thing today, have this be it. When you step outside into daylight, even if it is the cloudiest day, and you expose your eyes to 5 minutes of natural light without a window in front of you, it actually sets your circadian rhythm for the rest of the day. So this means it sets your biological clock in motion. That will help you fall asleep easier and better that night and have higher quality sleep, so that you already start off the next day on a more energetic note. If there's days ever that I wake up, and even if I've had a moderate sleep or I've had a great sleep, and those days where you just kind of still feel like you're a little bit waking up still, I never miss going outside. And because right now it's in the summer, the sunrise is so early, I love to watch the sun come up. Having said that though, this single thing, I can feel my brain turn on. I can feel my brain wake up. I can feel my energy rising, and any brain fog that I've had, I can start feeling it dissipate. Yes, this works on a cloudy day. Yes, this works on a rainy day. So it is something that I find that this is it's the magic pill that nobody does, is get outside, expose your eyes to daylight, set your circadian rhythm in motion, turn off the melatonin production so that you can be starting to feel good. Summer is a beautiful time to start it too, because it's not even that cold if you're in summer right now in your part of the world. But something you might want to consider. So those are my big non-negotiables in the morning. Like I said, there's movement, there's food. I do drink some water. I drink a cup of coffee. Having that 5 minutes at a minimum. So the other thing that I really like to do is create a bit of space between the time you wake up and your phone. So like I said, I jump right into work most of the time after I pretty much prep my coffee, get outside for 5-10 minutes. I try to create at least half an hour of space between me and my phone, because what I often find happens is one of two things. Number one, we mean just to check in, but we end up scrolling for half an hour. That's half an hour of your morning unintentionally spent and gone right away. You lose it. You never get that back. Because even if you mean to spend 5 minutes on Instagram or just check your emails real quick, how often do you get pulled down that rabbit hole? So create a little bit of space from that. It doesn't even have to be long, just enough for you to start your day, get outside, and intentionally think, what do I want to do today? So the second thing that I want you to think about when you're getting up and getting on your phone first thing in the morning, especially if you are into biohacking like I am and you have, your Fitbits or your Apple Watches or your Oura Rings and all of this kind of stuff. If you get up in the morning and you're like, oh, I kind of guess I feel good today. I'm going to check my phone and see what my stats are and see if I got a good sleep score and see if my Oura Ring told me I did a great job falling asleep last night. What it's really interesting, I have clients do sometimes, is they'll feel really high energy and then their device will tell them they had a poor sleep and they'll start just kind of having really low energy days. They're like, oh yeah, look at that. That is right. I am low energy. So I don't like to check any of my statistics on my devices until I have decided how I feel and how I want to feel that day. So that's two things that I want you to keep in mind there. The last thing in creating space that I really want to cover with you is this idea of thought borrowing. So if I only have 5 or 10 minutes in the morning, one of my secret weapon strategies is borrowing someone else's thoughts to help me create energy. So remember how I told you that the sentences going through our heads create that feeling of energy in our body, or create excitement, or create peace, or create calm, right? I often find that, especially if you're starting out to this and making this an intentional practice, if you have not thought, if you're not accustomed to being able to already ask yourself good questions or come up with, energetic thoughts, if you're not yet at that point, borrow someone else's thoughts. Now think about this. You are sitting here right now. You're listening to me talk. What I am saying are my thoughts. You're probably listening to it going, I like that. I really do need to do more of that. I don't know if I agree with that. Oh, I really love that. I'm going to start doing that tomorrow. You're having that conversation in your head about what I am saying to you. When you hear something that I say that you're like, I like that, you borrowed my thought. And what it does is you'll notice after the end of this masterclass today, you might feel inspired and you're like, yes, that's it. I have a new self-concept. I'm calibrating my energy. I'm making that 5 minutes. I'm getting outside today. This is all of the things that I'm going to do. If you feel inspired, basically what you just did was you spent the last amount of time borrowing my thoughts, and they created that feeling of excitement in you. So what I love to do in the morning is there are certain, say, audiobooks or podcasts that I love, that I listen to with the intention of borrowing their thoughts. I know it depends on the type of mood I'm in. Like, I listen to one podcast, and it's, I can't even remember the name of it right now, but it's by Andy Frisella. And I'm going to tell you right now, he swears a lot in that podcast. And I typically don't swear that much. I don't listen to a lot of stuff with swearing. However, if I really want to get amped up, and he talks about motivation, and he talks about staying committed, and if that's the vibe I want to get into, I'm going to listen to his podcast. I'm going to get all amped up, and that's something that really helps me. But if you're in a place where, like, you know what, I really want to focus on being inspired with my food right now, maybe you go and put on one of my podcast episodes, the Becoming Limitless podcast, and you're like, yeah, when I listened to that episode on, 3 food rules to eliminate inflammation, I am like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do with my food today. And basically, you spend that time borrowing the people's thoughts around you that are in that energy you want. So essentially, we talked about calibrating back at the beginning? I am calibrating to their energy. They're up here talking about motivation, action, discipline, commitment. I'm calibrating to that. If they're talking about energy and feeling like they're having fun and being playful and inspired, I want to calibrate to that. So I really kind of just get to tune in to what I want. And then after a while, what you'll start to notice is that the podcasts that you get the most amped up over or inspired over, you love their thoughts and you just eat them up. And that is when you'll notice that your brain starts to think them on their own. Or maybe you're like, yeah, I like when Tanessa always talks about the idea of you should get more energy out of the biohacks and you put into them, and that, we have super brain computers. We really want to get them operating at 90%. I want my brain feeling like that. Then it's really easy for you to start thinking those thoughts on your own because you've borrowed mine, you've practiced thinking them, and now you think them on their own. And this is literally how I start to change my brain. I don't do it the way a lot of people do it. Like, some people recommend put it on a post-it note on your computer or your desktop background, or write it on your mirror or something like that. Like, I often find that I miss those. They're sitting on my mirror and I don't even see them after a day or two, and I miss out on them. But if I'm intentionally spending, I'm out on my deck in the morning, the sun is coming up, my melatonin is being turned off, my circadian rhythm is being stimulated, I'm just like, yes! I'm going to put some podcast in my ear, I'm calibrating my energy, I'm like, yes! This is how I want to feel today. And this is why I can show up in my business day after day and be like, yes! I want to share this with you guys. I have so many ideas for masterclasses that are going to be coming inside of this group. And like literally they spout out of me. It makes it so easy to write copy. It makes it easy to do 4, 5, 6 client sessions in a row of sitting there on my computer but fully engaged. And it makes it so nice at the end of the day when I can close my computer and I'm like, hey baby, to my daughter, hi husband, do you want to go for a walk? Do you want to make dinner? And even if I sit there and want to watch another episode of How I Met Your Mother on Netflix, that's cool too. Because I'm there with my family and I don't feel my energy is so drained that I also need to be on Instagram. And probably also need to have Amazon up or whatever it is that we do when our brains just tap out. Because you can do intentional TV watching, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with watching TV. But it's when you're using it to escape how tired you're feeling. That is a huge red flag. If you're watching TV because you're like, yeah, we throw on a show while we watch dinner or eat dinner, it's fine. Like, I'm present, I'm still with my family. But you know the difference is when you're literally just on your couch, you're like, oh. You know what I'm talking about? When you're at the end of your day and you're just like, I need to escape this is exhausting. That's the feeling for me that does not connect with the life I want. I did not create my business to make a jail. I did not start my own company to feel this way outside of it. I started it for freedom. I started it for peace and connection with my family and being on my own schedule. That can't happen if all I want to do is hide or collapse at the end of the day. Now, if it's only happening, here and there, it's not a problem. But if this is what your day is looking like, I really, really suggest we start with step 1 and go through. So we're done step 2. We are on step 3. Are you ready for step 3? Number 3, we need to identify where your energy leaks are. Now, what's an energy leak? So let's say you woke up, I hear how I'm going to be today. Oh, I got my 5 minutes. My eyes are exposed to light. I'm amped up. I'm borrowing thoughts. I'm connecting my own. Yes. 2 o'clock slump. You're done. Ugh, my brain just turned off. Done. Or I didn't make it till after work. Like, my energy started good, but I had no idea how to hold on to it throughout the day. That has to do with the fact that you have an energy leak, meaning somewhere in your life, there's a hole and you need to plug it. Your energy is leaking. So I'm going to go over the 4 main places that I find that I see over and over again that clients have leaks. Okay? Number 1, their sleep. Now, I know that it's so interesting with sleep. I find that people believe that sleep is a very unsexy thing to talk about. And it's like, yeah, sleep. I sleep fine. But one of my favorite things is really pulling apart sleep data from Oura Rings or Fitbits and showing people, I'm like, this is why you feel tired, even if you think your sleep is great. So I had a client start with me just last week, and she says, yeah, my sleep is fine. Like, can we just talk about something else? I'm like, yeah, but everything that you're saying you're experiencing sounds like sleep. And she's like, no, you don't get it. No, I get 8 hours of sleep. Like, I am fine. So I was like, okay, can I have your sleep data from your watch? And I exported it and I looked through the data. 6 hours of sleep, 5 hours 45, 6.5 hours, one night of 7.5 hours. And I'm like, you're sleep deprived. You're wondering why your brain can't perform at capacity? Because you're sleep deprived. And I'm going to teach you the main concept that I go over clients with that I find is the very first step we need to make. So here's the thing. We think that because I'm going to use really generic times. We think that because we try to go to sleep at 11 and we wake up at 7 that we've gotten 8 hours of sleep, right? 11, 7, 8 hours, it's fine. I'm not sleep deprived, right? Now, hold on. I've been doing this long enough where I have looked at a ton of data, a ton of people's data. The average entrepreneur spends between an hour and an hour and 17 minutes awake every single night. What goes into that awake time? The time your brain takes to fall asleep, that's called your sleep latency, from the time you close your eyes if you fall asleep. 2, tossing and turning. 3, waking up in the middle of the night to go pee, or even just waking up and then going back to sleep. Like a lot of people, it's amazing how many people struggle with falling back asleep in the middle of the night if they wake up. They don't have that skill set yet to put themselves back to sleep, so we spend time awake. Or number 4, the time when your brain is waking up in the morning. So I want you to think about this. Most people don't even give themselves 8 hours to sleep. They give themselves 7.5 or 7 hours. That's most typical. I see like 11:30 to 7 or like 11:30 to 6:30. Now you take off an hour and 15 minutes off of that. That's how we're getting our 6 hours of sleep. Your brain needs quality sleep. It is non-negotiable. I am asleep, not trying to sleep, anywhere between 7 hours and 45 and 8.5 hours per night. And I'm going to tell you, on the nights that I do not get that, my work day the next day, I am procrastinating. I'm all over the place. I have brain fog. I might be getting through my tasks, but I'm not as good. My writing sucks. You know that feeling. That's the day where I'm just like, tomorrow. We're going to do this again tomorrow. So you need to understand that your sleep is essential, and you need to be giving yourself enough time to sleep. So if you are like, how much time do I spend awake every night? Best thing, get a Fitbit. Get an Oura Ring, get an Apple Watch, get something that can actually tell you. If you don't have one of those, assume you are like the majority of people and you spend an hour awake per night, even if you're like, I swear I don't. I swear I sleep 8 hours. What if you do? Then you need to give yourself long enough sleep opportunity. So if you're looking at 7.5 hours as your minimum, you actually need to be asleep, trying to sleep. Meaning lights out to awake for 8.5 hours. This is non-negotiable. You cannot have the energy you want and be underslept. I've never seen it happen. You might feel fine for a couple days or a short term, but it will catch up with you. And then you are going to have to be undoing the damage from a tired brain. So, sleep. Huge energy leak. Plug the hole, all right? Number 2, food. We need to talk about food. So there's 2 main things I want to talk to you about with food, and honestly, I could go over things with food that are disrupting your energy for hours, but I'm going to keep it really short. Number 1 is you are eating too close to bed. So when you go to sleep at night, your resting heart rate, it needs to drop. And the sooner in the night it drops and the lower it drops, so the bigger difference between your resting heart rate and your sleeping heart rate, the more recovery time you have. Brain, body, emotions, okay? That needs to happen for you to feel fully charged the next day. Now, if you decide to eat an hour and a half, 2 hours before bed, even in some people 3 hours before bed, your digestive system is working. Your heart rate is up, it does not drop as much or as soon, and you wake up feeling less than rested. How to make that simple? Make sure you are finishing dinner at least 3 hours before bed. 4, in my personal experience, have found that 4 works best. Does this mean every night is perfect? No, there are definitely some nights I eat an hour and a half before bed because I fall asleep at 8:45 because that's my chronotype. That's a whole other discussion we can get into. But sometimes I eat at 7:30 or 8 or 7 o'clock just because that's the events of the day and I have clients till really late. So it's not perfect, but that is something I am always aware of. Or number 2, if you're talking about food, and we're talking about energy leaks specifically, is during the day, loading up on sugar and flour containing foods. So, hear me. I did not say don't eat carbohydrates. I said during my work day, if I want my brain to feel sharp, I keep my plate full of protein, healthy fats, and carbohydrates that come from vegetables and or fruit and or quinoa, rice, sweet potato, amaranth, millet, sorghum, teff, like all these different grains, because I find that energy depends on a hormone called insulin. And when you eat a ton of processed carbohydrates that have been ground into flours, increases the surface area, increases blood sugar, increases insulin, what happens is we get an energy crash. So I make sure that none of that comes into my work day. I am eating whole foods only for breakfast and for lunch. Okay? Energy plug number 2, your food. Number 3, movement. One of the biggest things I work on with my clients is number of steps per day. I don't even start most of my clients with like exercise routines because of how busy their schedules already are, and the idea of putting in workouts really stresses them out. I say this, like, why don't we get your steps per day up? Because the crazy thing is, the majority of entrepreneurs I work with, 2,000 steps a day, 3,000 steps a day. Now, there are definitely exceptions, like especially because I have one client and she owns an entire company that is dog walking. And so she gets like literally 15, 20,000 steps a day. But the majority of entrepreneurs who have computer-based work, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. So that lack of movement is sapping your energy, both physically and mentally. So start by setting a step goal. Keep it really simple, all right? That's number 3 is sedentary movement. Number 4, where are you leaking your energy? It's the stress. We need to find ways to downshift our stress. There needs to be contrast between this high energy, go, 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 get productive, and unwinding. Most people just decide to carry that energy right to bedtime, and they're like, go, 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 energy, 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 but maybe it's not energy, maybe it's just overwhelm and stress, and then they try to go to sleep, and their brain is like, you know what I'm talking about, right? When we just can't get our brains to calm down, there needs to be contrast. So adding activities into your day that they don't even need to take up a lot of time. Here's a really good tip to bring your brain energy, maybe brain energy is not the right word, the cortisol, the stress in your brain down a little bit. So think about this. In your evening, focus on being where you are. If you're cooking dinner, cook dinner. Don't cook dinner, also be watching TV, also be doing this over here, and checking Instagram. Be one place. It's kind of like mindfulness. You can insert it into the things you're already doing. If you're folding laundry, fold laundry. Just be present. Try it for 5 minutes. You don't need to do your whole evening like that, but you need to teach your brain that there is an option to switch off that stress and cortisol. So this is a huge energy killer. If your body is constantly stressed out, you will constantly feel like a lack of energy. So, super important. 4 holes to plug: sleep, food, movement, stress. All right? So the last thing I want to talk to you about on energy leaks is to play. We need to be playing. And that means having fun. And that means looking at our lives and asking, what am I doing to having fun? Right? So that's just a little fun one I wanted to throw in there as well. All right, we're on to number 4. We're rounding up on our last 2. We need to get clear on our priorities. So you have energy. You created time to get your energy up. You're plugging the holes. You're like, yes, I know what to do. The next one, you need to get clear on your priorities. And here's what I mean. If you prioritize and have value on feeling energetic and productive and excited and all of the good things that come with your business, but then you spend other parts of your day doing things that directly lead to less energy the next day because they make you feel better in the short term, question that. It does not mean don't do it. It means question it. If you're committed to not feeling like you're in an energy slump all the time, or that you don't love feeling like you're collapsing onto the couch, there is a choice, a series of choices that need to be made differently. Here's a really good example. Alcohol disrupts your brain's ability to dream. Dreaming is responsible for your ability to manage your emotional state. If you are drinking alcohol in the evenings and you wake up feeling lack of energy, or you feel brain fog or not very creative, you need to ask yourself if that is a trade-off you are willing to continue making. If I can see A causes B, I don't like B, that's not in integrity. I don't want to calibrate with that. You need to question what your priority is there. Why are we continuing to choose the thing that might feel good in the moment, but I'm waking up every day feeling exhausted? So here's something else that's kind of interesting to consider. If you are waking up feeling tired every day, and you need to escape your day by whatever it is, collapsing onto the couch, shopping, wine, overeating. Why not, instead of working on escaping that, consider creating a life that doesn't need escaping from because you like how you feel? It's kind of like one of those chicken or egg things, right? So that's one of the ones that I see coming up a lot with clients specifically is doing something to compromise their sleep. Like another one is they prioritize TV or scrolling on their phones over getting to sleep on time. Meaning if you know you need 8.5 hours of sleep opportunity, which means you need to be lights out at 10:30, but at 10:32 you're still scrolling on Instagram, and then you're scrolling on Instagram again at 10:40 and 10:50 and 11:20. You are choosing scrolling over sleep. And then you will wake up the next morning and you will feel lousy. And you will have a lousy, probably unproductive day. And guess what's going to happen at night? You feel like you need a break because the day was so exhausting. And what do? We try to escape that with scrolling. And it creates this really ugly cycle we get into where we think that scrolling is taking some me time. And I have nothing wrong with scrolling or social media if it's done intentionally, but if you are choosing scrolling over how you feel during the day, question that. Is that something you want to do? I've got a couple other ones. Food. Are you choosing convenience over clarity? Yes, I totally get it. Craft dinner is super easy. But are you choosing the convenience of how fast something could be made over planning your day and taking a couple minutes to eat food that is going to make you feel clear and energized throughout the day? Are you choosing convenience over clarity? Another one, buffering over planning. So buffering is this concept of like, I don't like how I'm feeling, I'm going to procrastinate, I'm going to do something so I don't have to feel this way. And that ends up being like, if you're procrastinating from work, if you're scrolling on Facebook when you're supposed to be working, if you just, shut down your computer, go do something else, if you end up watching stories, all of these things are ways your brain gets out of feeling the discomfort of having to do work that maybe you don't want to do. And you end up choosing that over maybe planning your time effectively. Like entrepreneurs, we make these decisions over and over again. I see them over and over again. Another one is when we are choosing material wealth over emotional wealth. So this is a concept that